Good morning, and welcome to another edition of Techniche Tips. I am your host, Joseph M. Smith, and like always, I have another one for you. And this is going to be a great one because of the times that we are in. We are looking for people that want to have basically get advice regarding transitioning into this industry because, hey, listen, times have changed from when I got in there or even when my guest has gotten into tech, but we could talk about it, right? We could share some advice, some insights, things that can really help and prepare you as you are looking to transition into the industry. So I have no other than Tayler Jones here with me. How you doing, Taylor? Is everything well?
Everything is well. How about yourself?
Doing good. I cannot complain. I'm very happy to have you here. I know we've been planning this for some time, so this has been really good. A long time coming, as they would say.
Exactly.
Yeah, but go ahead and drop in the comment section whether you're on LinkedIn or YouTube. If you're on IG, you're strictly watching, but go ahead. You go ahead and come over to the YouTube side. I would love to have you here. Subscribe to the channel at youtube.com/@Techniche Tips. You could go over there and you'll be able to participate, get your comments in there. If you're on IG, you could go ahead and transition over to youtube.com/@Techniche Tips. So why it's called Techniche Tips? Because they're looking to help you find your home in tech, right? You're looking to find your, I won't say purpose fully, but your your livelihood, your wellness in tech. And so that should be a lot of fun. But let's go to the comment section real quickly. What up, Mitch? Good to see you this morning, this Saturday morning. And Tech Coach Ralph is in the building. What up, sir? If you don't know Tech Coach Ralph, he has his own YouTube channel where he talks about QA. He talks about a whole bunch of different things on the more technical side when it comes to this industry. He's a senior QA analyst. I guess that's the right word. He's senior QA himself. And so he will be able to give you a lot of insight. So go ahead and check in with him at Tech Coach Ralph on youtube.com. Now, peace and blessings to you, Operation Tech Takeover. I appreciate you, brother. Like always, you've always been supportive, and I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And like he says, don't forget to hit the like button, share, comment, and subscribe. Let's get these likes up. We got Tech Job Tina in the building. She's also a YouTuber that has some great content. Go ahead and check it out. She really kind of walks you through her story, you through her journey being in tech. So you definitely want to rock with her. We got Black Widow Rowe. Good morning. Excited for this. And I totally agree. Very excited as well. Chef Shah. Good morning, Chef. Excited for this episode. You got Jonathan Hamilton on LinkedIn. Good morning. Can we get interview tips? That's going to be a part of this as well. So go ahead, and I want to encourage you to wait until about halfway through this conversation, if not longer, because we are going to have a Q&A session where you could ask interview tips to not only myself, but my wonderful guest, Tayler, and this is going to be an exciting time. We're going to take a little bit more time to go through this. We got Dave in the building. What up, Dave? Good to see you. Love Tina's content. Happy to be here. And this is going to be more of a conversation, Tina. And the audience already knows, like, they're going to be basically coming in and out of our conversation that we're going to have here. So go ahead, feel free to chime in, and we're going to definitely talk to you about it. And then last but not least, before we get into this, actually second, I'm going to say that for later. I'm going to start that. But what up, brother? If you don't know, Tech Back Trade and I, we have a show on Monday mornings called Talk That Tech in the Morning, the #1 morning talk show about tech, right? He says it better than I do. That's why I let him drop it. But yeah, that's pretty much how it's going down. It's going down. Taylor, they want you to spill all the tea. So
I'm
we're gonna have that.
nothing will be held back.
Nothing will be held back. What up, going, brother? Mr. Bennett is in the building, holding it down. Appreciate you like always, and we're looking forward to having you part of the conversation on Monday morning. So can't wait to see you there. All right. So with that being said, let's get into the conversation since we got the blood flowing, since we got other our people in there as well. Let's get the conversation flowing about you, Taylor, and your life and your experiences. So what I want to just basically kind of start from where you are right now, where you're doing currently, and we'll just take it from there.
Yeah, so currently I am at a tech startup out here in Dallas, in for a fintech company as a BDR. Really good company. They made, I think, last year top 50 startup for LinkedIn. So I'm very excited about being here and kind of helping them to build this thing out from scratch and just getting that experience. Um, Before I got here, I was at another fintech company. Wasn't a startup, more kind of a mid-sized company, but it was a great company. Learned a lot there, and then decided to kind of take that experience and go somewhere where there's just a little bit more opportunity for me. And so, yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Beautiful, beautiful. So listen, y'all, she has done it. She's been in multiple companies. Not only has she transitioned into tech, but then she also transitioned to another company, kind of similar to myself. I recently transitioned to a new company as well. So we're going to talk about what we can do to help in regards to if you are in that position of transitioning to another company, or if you're like, listen, I'm trying to get into this thing, I'm trying to get my toe in right now. We're going to talk about what we did, but let's backtrack a little bit as well, Tina. What made you decide that you wanted to get into this industry?
Yeah. So for me, I came from kind of like a customer service and administrative assistant type background, right? So just really like understanding like economically it just wasn't going to be anywhere I can really go as far as my finances is concerned. And so for me, I can't speak for anybody else, but I'm like one of those people. I hate poverty. Like poverty is just like ew, like
Mm,
I just hate it. I don't want anything to do with it.
yeah,
um, and that may sound bad to some people, but I mean it's like who wants to actually like live in poverty, like if you be honest with yourself.
yeah.
And so for me, I started really kind of thinking about, what is going to be the best financial move for me to start to kind of, get myself, where I want to be financially and to start building the things that I, want to build, building out my vision. And tech had been that place that I had been looking into for years, but wasn't really sure, like, where I was going to land. I had tried a few things. I've tried like UX design, I tried coding, and, nothing was
Mm,
really sticking. And then finally, kind of like tech sales. And I'm like, okay, I think this is going to be the thing that I try and really, for whatever reason, tech sales just really stood out to me. And
mm.
yeah, I decided to go ahead and take that leap in and really really pursue it.
Yeah, I totally hear you on that in regards to even that customer service side, kind of lending itself to tech sales because tech sales is not like a hard sale, right? Tech
Yeah,
sales, you're having a relationship being built. You're actually taking time to be concerned or even cared in regards to this person that you're trying to work with and the
yeah,
potential business arrangement that you're gonna have, right?
yeah,
But I want to go back to what you said about poverty because that's a true thing. I'm not gonna lie. When it comes to my motivation to getting into tech, we had our fifth. We had 5 children at the time, my wife and I, and our sixth one
yeah,
was due. And I was like, listen, the job I had at the time wasn't terrible, right? I'll say that because I learned a lot of things, and I was able to take those soft skills with me to the tech industry.
yeah,
But I wanted to, like you said, I wanted to get up that money so that I could avoid that P word right there
yeah.
because there's cycles to this thing if we're not careful. So can you talk a little bit about the desire to escape poverty, like a gazelle is trying to escape a lion? Can you talk about that for a moment?
Yeah. Poverty has always been one of those things that I've hated. I grew up in a I so I'm, I was born in Detroit, Michigan. Grew up in a pretty rough neighborhood. Didn't really have much, and I hated it. It never felt right to me. Like I always, when I was younger, just like seeing my mom struggle, and none of it just didn't feel right. It just like It wasn't something I could ever see myself like, oh yeah, just accepting that this is just what life is. Um, and so
Yeah.
even from a young age, I knew I'm like, this isn't normal. This isn't right. And like, I need to figure out what's out there, and how to get out of this, because it just doesn't feel like it's in alignment with where I want to go and who I am. And so yeah, the journey started even when I was younger, like when I was a teenager, probably when I was like in middle school. I started trying to learn how to make money online. I started like writing up these articles and stuff. So back then, we kind of had like, I think we still had like dial up internet. And so I'm on dial
Yeah.
up internet trying to figure out like, oh, you can get paid to blog, and you can like, I
Yeah.
can make money like writing little blogs. I mean, it didn't pan out. I had no idea what I was doing. But, even from a young age, I'm like, I need to figure out how to get rich. um,
Yeah.
and so I greatly believe that, I know a lot of people say, well, money isn't everything. Sure, it's not, but you really don't know until you get money. You can't really
Mm.
say, what life is really about, because until then, everything is about money. You're complaining
Yeah.
about bills. You're trying to figure out how to pay bills. You're trying to figure out how to make ends meet. And so, people say that, but and it's true. It's not all about money, but it's definitely a big part of our lives. And
Yeah.
so for me, I feel like, it's very, very hard to live an enjoyable life. It's very hard to build certain things that you want to build. Um,
Yeah.
if you don't have money, it's really hard to make changes in your life without it.
I totally agree. I think that it's not everything, but it is something, right?
Right.
And so for us, we have to make sure that there's a level of balance to that, and
Right.
that understanding. And so you basically, like a gazelle trying to escape a lion, you try to get out of the poverty, and tech sales was for you. How did you find out about this industry? Did you I believe you took a course. I don't want to assume. I wanted to kind of get an idea of like what did you do to get the knowledge that you need in order to basically pave your path to course to tech sales.
Yeah, so I first heard about tech sales probably a few years before I even actually started pursuing it. I had met a friend of mine, and this particular friend, she was like always traveling, and she was like, she would invite me like to day parties on a Tuesday. And I had asked her one day, just out of curiosity, because I was like, what does this girl do? Like, all she does is like live her best life. So, so I was like, what do you do like for work? Like, how are you like able to do all this? She's like, oh, yeah, my dad, he's in tech sales. And so she just kind of left it at that. She didn't really get into too much details, but I heard tech sales and I was like,
Really?
huh, okay, that he
Hmm.
must make a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
And so, I actually started researching tech sales back then, because I'm like, maybe this is where I need to get into. And, at the time, unfortunately, most of the tech sale boot camps, I think the major one was like pre-hired, if I'm not mistaken, and they were only accepting people with college degrees. So I wanted to pursue it back then, but I
Wait,
didn't.
hold on. You said the boot camp was only accepting people with college degrees? I heard that right?
Yes, yes.
What? Okay.
At the time, tech sales wasn't popular like it is kind of. I mean, it's still not popular now, but it's growing, right?
Yeah.
And so I think at the time that it was a boot camp named Pre-Hire. They were one of the few that were doing the tech sale boot camp, but they're very strict. Like, you need to have a degree to work here. I mean, to get into the boot camp. And so, you know, I kind of was like, okay, well, I don't know what to do, because I'm definitely not going back to college, because I don't believe I need a degree to get to where I want to go. And so I kind of went through this year and a half process of just trying different things like UX design, but nothing was sticking. It was like tech sales was what I wanted to do. And then finally, I think everybody knows Cyrus, right? And so me and Cyrus had been following each other. He had started posting content about his transition into tech sales. And I saw it. I'm like, okay, I got to speak to Cyrus and see what's going on, and see how I could also make that transition. And, I think he was partnered with Course Careers, and that's how I end up finding Course Careers, and enrolling into the course.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And I'm gonna take a moment to pause and say hello to our guests. We got Tina in the building. What up, Tina? What up, Tina? And Tech Coach Ralph said something earlier I want to go back to. He said, money always money allows you to buy the things that aren't all about money. That's a good point when we're talking about poverty and kind of erasing that. And so I just wanted to make sure I put a moment there to kind of highlight that comment. And then we got another person in the building. We got Cherry Young. What up, Cherry? Good to see you. Good to see you. So glad that you're on. And Rob, what up, Rob? Rob and I, we actually met in DC at Thanksgiving. Definitely lock in with Rob Richardson. He has a lot of things going on, so you definitely do not want to miss all that he has going on. I'm going to actually probably bring him up to talk about it more. I don't want to steal his thunder. But when we have that conversation, that episode, y'all going to be able to hear a lot more about what Rob does. And so stay tuned. And if you know him on LinkedIn, lock in with him because he's got some stuff coming. Yes, my brother, he's got some stuff coming. So definitely lock in with him. But back to the conversation that we're talking about in regards to you getting into course careers and you went through this program. Was it a long period of time that it took you to get there, or was it a short period of time? How was that experience like?
Yeah, it wasn't long at all. So I finished the course in 6 weeks. It's a self-paced course. I could have finished it sooner than that, honestly. But I just had a lot going on. I was trying to do way too much at once, me working full time, and then also trying to take course careers. And then also I was doing life coaching at the time, which didn't make sense at all for like, it was just messy.
Okay.
um, and so I was just doing a whole lot that was just, it didn't make any sense now that I look back at it. But yeah, so it took me about 6 weeks to complete, and then 6 weeks of job hunting for me to land my first, tech role. Wasn't difficult at all. I would say I kind of rushed through it, so I didn't do too well on the final test because I was just like, I'm just trying to get this thing done. So maybe don't be like me and actually studied like for the final exam. Um, but yeah, so the whole process. I mean, it was really a testing of my faith because, I was working customer service at the time. I had just moved out here to Dallas. I was staying in an Airbnb, right? Like I didn't even have a solid place to stay at because I just moved out here. I hadn't had enough money saved. And so I'm just like, okay, like what's one more L at this point? It's either going to work or it's not. um,
Mm.
actually ended up, quitting my customer service job because it was getting in the way of me landing interviews for tech positions.
Yeah.
And so I said, okay, I'm going to quit. I'm going to start lifting and I'm going to like do interviews and just focus on getting into tech. And ended up, only taking 6 weeks for me to make the transition.
Wow. 6 weeks. Six
Yeah,
weeks. Because your goal was like, listen, I'm trying to blaze through this thing.
yeah,
I'm trying to do whatever I can to get
absolutely.
there. Wow. So you lift drive, you quit your job, you started Lyft driving just to make more time for this. That's what it sounds like.
Yes.
And when you did that, that was what helped you accelerate pretty much. Was because
Mhm.
listen, I could work when I need to work, but I could just take the time and go forth and do this. Like I don't know a lot of people that would make that sacrifice like that, you
Yeah,
know, because I mean, I'm thinking about my own story, right? Same similar thing. Course careers is what helped me transition into tech as well. And it I finished the course in a month's time, right?
right.
But my wife had our daughter, our son due, and when the baby came during that time period afterwards, so altogether, I say between 45, 50 days did I only not only finish the course, but I was able to land a job at that particular time.
Yeah,
And sometimes, and I want to say this because I had a conversation with somebody yesterday who I probably gonna bring on the show. We had a really good conversation about this, but the the thing about the tech industry, understanding the knowledge, all of that, it's not easy.
mhm.
It's just rewarding.
Yeah,
And I
absolutely.
think we need to have a conversation about that. And we're probably gonna get to that a little bit later. But before I do, go ahead, like, comment, and if you are interested in doing so, if you love this content, go ahead, subscribe to the channel. But if you're on LinkedIn, go ahead, like, comment, and share this with somebody who needs to hear this. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and like, comment, and share as well. And if you really love it, like I said, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. But Jonathan said it. Wow, what's one more L? It's either gonna work or it's not. That's determination. That's determination. And Tech Coach Ralph said 6 weeks is amazing, and that just shows the type of mentality that you have, right? That you're like, listen, I'm going to do whatever I can to make this transition so I can get where I need to go. and now we're gonna go. And then Mr. Just Earl said fire, straight fire, And I want to just kind of go on that path. I'm going to break down your story for people because I believe there's gems in our stories. There's treasure chests within our stories that are full of diamonds, rubies, and precious stones. And so, regarding your particular story, when you got to that point when you did course careers, did the exam, like you said, you didn't do great because your eyes were on the prize, and you started the interview process. How was that process like? Because 6 weeks is a very, very quick time.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I took some L's in that. My very first interview was with a company named Splunk, which is kind of a big deal in Silicon Valley. It was, I was like blown away when they reached out to me on LinkedIn. I didn't even apply. They actually reached out to me, and he's like, "Yeah, we're trying to hire some more people here."
Hold on, wait, you didn't apply? They reached out to you?
Yeah, they reached out to me.
What was your LinkedIn like? What was your LinkedIn game like that they reached out to you?
Man, I actually discussed that in a video of mine on my YouTube channel, and I also have like a newsletter I created where I'm like really just trying to drop gems with people, and we get into that like later. But he reached out, and I'm still connecting with him. Marty, he's super cool. He's like, yeah, we're trying to, hire some more people there. Looks like you got some sales experience. Looks like we're also trying to, get some more veterans here because, Splunk works with the government a lot. And so, I got the interview. He, was telling me, he's like, yeah, you definitely can make like, 100,000 easily. And so I was like, call my mom. I'm like, Mom, guess what?
I'm like, gonna buy you a house.
Right. Like I was so hype about it. Got to the interview and like I failed that interview like no other because I didn't know, I really, even though Course Careers had some things in there about interviews, it's really just, I feel like also like trial and error too. You're going to kind of have to kind of figure out because not every interview is going to be the same. And you don't really know what companies are looking for and things like that. And so, I didn't do too good on the interview looking back. And that's when I was like, yeah, I got to quit this job because I really got to get focused on making sure that I'm showing up to these interviews and that I'm actually like nailing the interview. And so, like that was like, once I saw that, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm quitting my job and I'm going full forward on this. Because if I can do that, and I'm not even trying, and I can have a company like that reach out to me, then the possibilities are limitless.
Wow, let's dive into that because you said that there was trial and error, right? What did you learn specifically, or one or two things that you learned specifically during that interview process with Splunk that really helped you going forward? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so like just the way I showed up to my interviews, I think with my first interview, I asked all the wrong questions because I was just like, I don't know. I just didn't sell myself on my value, right? Because I was so kind of like, oh, I'm over here like it's a second interview, and I'm talking about salary and benefits, and they're like, whoa, like slow down.
Oh, yes. Slow down. You move
I'm
too
like,
fast.
right? I'm like try to see like, yeah, I'm trying to like get to the bag, and I'm asking all these questions that you really, you talk about salary and stuff, but a lot of the stuff kind of waits until after you've kind of passed the interviews and you get into negotiation and things like that. But I didn't know that at the time. And so after my interviews, kind of looking back at it and really like, okay, what, how can I improve? What questions can I ask? What questions do I need to be asking to show, that I'm a good candidate, and also to really make sure this is a good company that I want to work for. Like I'm going to be spending 8 hours of my day every day for 5 days a week here. Like I want to make sure there's something in it for me as well, and I think also too, that's another thing that you should look out for when you're making a transition. Don't sell yourself short or get so hyped up about a company that you forget that, hey, you're important too, and you need to make sure that this is going to be a good deal for you as well. And so I think that was kind of like my main thing that I was able to take away from that. And, moving forward, just kind of really making sure that, I'm asking the right questions, that I'm showing up prepared, and that, I'm not so hyped up that I'm just willing to accept, any and everything that these companies have.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go with what Rob's just said right now. First of all, he talked about Splunk. Let me go to that first comment. He said, "I know Splunk. They got into sales. People that got into Splunk, they got into sales, and they made a huge leap in salary." So he
Yeah.
definitely confirmed what you're saying in regards to what manager, was it a manager or was it like a recruiter that we were speaking to at the time, talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah. This was I don't know. I think he was like a lead. He was in
Okay,
sales, but he's kind of like trying to get his referral bonuses. So he's like reaching
yeah,
out to people like,
yeah.
hey, listen, we're hiring. So yeah,
Yeah, and that's another thing too. When you're in the industry, you realize that the opportunities for other STRs to even put your name in the hat, that goes a long way. That referral market, that's where it's at, in my opinion.
yeah,
But then, and Rob said this as well. This applies for interviews. Founding a company, it takes going through a lot. It takes going through it. You have to learn by
yeah,
doing, And
absolutely.
then, yeah, go ahead. You were gonna say something about that?
Yeah, and yeah, like I mean, I just agree with that.
Hmm.
As I said, this applies for interviews. Founding a company takes going through it. Yeah, absolutely. I don't think I really have anything to add to what he said there.
Yeah, and last thing before we go back to before we get back to your story, but Tech Coach Ralph says asking the right questions are crucial. I like when interviewers ask questions that make me think, and he actually is a person that hires people in the past as well, so
Yeah,
he could definitely
absolutely.
speak to that. And so, with that being said, you basically had to reframe things. You got to be like, listen, they talk about in tech sales having quota breath.
Yeah,
Sometimes people come in there having money breath, where they're like, listen, I'm here for the money, da 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 da, and
yeah,
people could smell that, and they're like, I don't think we want that here because if you're not here for the right reasons. And so you had to basically kind of reframe things to basically kind of present yourself like, I'm here for the right reasons.
right.
And so can you talk about after you kind of figured it all out, what was the interview process like afterwards?
Yeah, like after I've figured it out, I would say that there were still some things that I had to adjust along the way. Like after each interview, like, oh yeah, I could have did that better. I could have did this better. And that's kind of what was the process for me. Just every interview, just getting better and better and better, and really, like you said, reframing my mind and showing up more confident, showing up and not being all nervous and stuff like, oh, am I good enough? Like, are you guys good enough for me as well? Because this is a
Come on now.
street, right? You
Hmm.
need me to come and help you build out a company, right? And so, this isn't a one-way street, right? And so
Yeah.
we're trying to earn trust from each other here in this interview process to see if this is a good opportunity for the both of us. And so I really had to kind of shift my mind that way. And once I did, like, and now getting through interviews are a breeze for me. Just
Yeah.
because I know exactly what they're looking for. I know exactly what questions I'm going to be asking. I know exactly. I don't think since then I've ever felt like a first interview. I've always went to the next round,
Yeah.
and for most of my interviews, I've made it to the final round, right? And so just understanding who you're talking to and what questions to ask that particular person, right? You're not going to ask the VP of sales the same questions you're asking a hiring manager. You're not going to ask the hiring manager
Yeah.
the same questions you're asking the recruiter who's just trying to do like the screening for you, right? And so learning that as well has been like a very big thing for me as far as nailing the interviews.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And tech job Tina says facts. We interviewing each other. It's so true. And I think that if you come from that position of listen, I have something to bring to the table. And there's a thin line between being confident and cocky. That's I want to just make sure that's
Yeah,
said because you could come in there confident and be like, I know what I could bring. I'm really excited about this position. And at the same time, I am evaluating if this is a good fit for me. And then there's this whole thing like, nah, I got this. You tell me you tell me like what it is because I got
yeah,
this. There's a very thin line, right?
right, right,
And so you
absolutely.
definitely want to
You
make
don't want to
sure.
come off cocky, but you do
Yeah,
want to be confident, right? And I like what tech coach Ralph said there with the questions. You want to present yourself as a problem solver, right?
yeah,
So that's one of my key questions is, hey, what are some challenges you guys are facing in this department right now? What are some challenges you're facing as a hiring manager as it pertains to SDRs and AEs or whatever it is? And they'll start kind of spilling their guts there, like, oh man, this is going on, and now you kind of got them in a place where you're able to position yourself as, oh, well, you know what? these are the strengths that I bring to that. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so that's a very good gem that Coach Ralph dropped there.
Yeah, and I started because I was gonna save it for the Q&A, but I'm glad you brought it up now because I was like, yeah, that's you want to make sure you have really thoughtful questions because again, it's a two-way street, like you said. You're interviewing this company as well because you want to make sure you're getting the right position for yourself, the right fit. And if it's really, and another thing I'm going to say, I know we didn't talk about this, and maybe this is something that was a part of your process too. But when it came to me, once I got established in more or less in the industry, I think with every single job decision that I made, I had some sort of, I would just, for lack of a better term, call it a governing body. People that are more experienced than me that I could say, hey, I just want to kind of basically talk to you about this process, talk to you about this company. What are your thoughts? I have an opinion, but you've been in this game longer than me. What do you think about this experience? What do you think about this? What are they offering here and there? And by doing that, you make your own decision at the end. Don't get me wrong, but now you have a council of wisdom, right? And it's biblical to say like to have that council of wisdom that allows you to say, you know what, actually what glitters isn't gold. So I might have the wrong perception about this.
Right.
Or on the other hand, like man, what I thought was okay or whatever, it's a great opportunity. I need to pursue this. And so that's something that I would just encourage anybody to do. And we're gonna definitely talk about that in the Q&A section. We're getting close to that Q&A section, y'all. So go ahead and go ahead and write your questions in here. I'll start for later. Or go ahead and wait for us and go on youtube.com/at Techniche Tips. You can even call in. There's a call in link that's pinned to that YouTube channel at youtube.com/at Techniche Tips, where we're going to basically let you call in at the Q&A portion so you can ask questions to Tayler directly or myself, and we will be able to go ahead and address those questions. But I do have Demita saying, thank you both, gems. Thank you both, so good. And Tayler, what is your YouTube channel one more time? I actually have it here. So
Yeah.
that way I could kind of share it. So if they wanted to follow you, they go ahead and follow you here.
Yeah. So I think it's just youtube.com/just Tayler Nicole. And so yeah, you can go there. I'll be um, dropping some more content as far as tech is concerned. I'm actually rebranding the whole channel to start talking more about this type of stuff. So if you're looking for that, that's definitely a good resource to go and check out.
Yeah, definitely. So definitely appreciate that, Tayler, for just sharing that with us. And I know it's gonna be helpful to a lot of people. Go ahead and connect with her. And actually, if you're on my channel, her YouTube link is in the description part as well. So that's gonna be good. And Jonathan, I see your question here. I'm gonna save it for later for the Q&A. So don't go away. Actually, you have something else that I started earlier that I'm going to address as well. So don't worry, I didn't forget you. I didn't forget you. All right, so let's talk about it. So what was that interview that got you the job, right? And then let's talk about your experience within the job that your first job that you had in tech.
Yeah, so the interview that got me the job was one with a fintech company. They were already a mid-sized company, but they wanted to start building, I guess, kind of a more of an outbound team. I think they were kind of doing a lot of inbound, or should I say inside sales, kind of like a remote team, I guess. And so, yeah, I joined it there, and I learned a lot because even though it wasn't a startup, I kind of got a little bit of experience, a startup experience a little bit because this was a new department they were building out. So, there's not a bunch of processes in place yet. You kind of get to, maneuver how you want to, a little bit and kind of, see where you're strong at, where you're weak at, you know what I mean, where you fit. And so, yeah, I liked my time there. And I learned a lot there. The interview was very easy. I think that's one of the things that I look at for companies too is if they have just a super unnecessarily hard interview process, I really start to question the value of that company. Just because I kind of can understand the psychology behind some of that. Sometimes companies try to put themselves on a pedestal to psychologically make you think that this is going to, like, they put you through this hard process to kind of make you think that, getting into that company is just going to be the best thing ever. And then, you speak to the people there and they're like, please just go away. Like, don't even, don't come here, please. And I've had that happen where, people are like,
Warning signs.
thank God you dropped out of that interview process, or thank God you didn't go with that, because it's actually a mess over here. And so I start noticing, like, when companies do that, that sometimes they're probably not the best companies you want to go with. And so, you really have to have some discernment there when you're going through the interview process, and kind of sensing, okay, how, like, is it super hard or is it too easy? Like, you got to discern with that. It's different for every company. But I know with this company, they, just were very straightforward with me. And that's what I look for in an interview process, a very straightforward process. None of the, back and forth mind games that can go into interviewing. And so that's why I end up going with this company. And then, a year later, I stayed there for a year to get my time in. But I just didn't see the growth, to that next level, and decided to, go to where I'm at right now.
Nice. And one quick question, and listen, y'all, we're going to go into Q&A right after this. So if you're not on youtube.com/Techniche tips and you're on LinkedIn, I'm sorry, but you get cut off after word from our sponsors. So just make sure you're aware that go ahead at youtube.com/Techniche tips. If you're on LinkedIn, I'm sorry, we're going to lose you. But I have one more question before we do that transition. And that question is this: when this new opportunity came, was it something that you either sought out yourself, or did the company reach out to you?
Yeah, so this is a company that reached out to me. She reached with a recruiter. She reached out and she was like, "Hey, startup in Dallas, top 50 on LinkedIn. They want, they're building out their SDR BDR team. It's going to be a quick advancement to the next level. If you're trying to be an AE, we want to interview with you." And yeah, we just went from there.
I love it. I love when companies are just come direct and they're like, "Listen, we saw you, we want you, what it
Right.
takes."
Exactly.
and that's a good sign in my opinion. And that's another thing I was going to say. The reason why I asked you is because once you've been in tech sales, and once your LinkedIn is kind of reflective of the work that you've done, and the right keywords are in there, recruiters start coming to you. Like, how many recruiters do you have coming to you on a almost like on a weekly basis? Probably like a few, right?
Yeah. So yeah, a few. It fluctuates. There may be a week where nobody reaches out to me because that's just what the market is right now. Or maybe I'm just not being as active on LinkedIn that week. And so, but usually if I'm active on LinkedIn, I'm getting a few people a week. Hey, we got a sales position over here or there that are reaching out to me.
Love it. Love it. All right, y'all. So now is the time for the Q&A. If you loved this conversation, if you loved it on LinkedIn, go ahead, like, comment, and share. If you loved, and share with somebody who's looking to transition, because we're about to go into the Q&A portion. Same thing for YouTube: like, comment, share, and even subscribe if you want. But at this particular time, we are going to make that transition into the conversation, the Q&A portion. But before we do that, we're going to have a word from a couple of our sponsors here. And so go ahead and put your comments in the comment section below. It's going to be a fun time, y'all. It's going to be a fun time. Like they say, fun time USA back in the day. But go ahead and put your comments below, your questions as well, because we're going to go right into Q&A at this particular time. See you on the other side. Do you feel stuck? Do you feel like you're just at the same place in your career and you don't really see a way out? This is a great time for you to take it to the next level. Level Careers is a course that I've been talking about for some time. From account executive and even sales engineering, there are courses that can help you propel from where you are now to where you want to go. Check out the link below. Use my promo code Joseph10 and check out the free courses, whether that's the SOC analyst course, the account executive course, or the sales engineer course. Take your career to the next level. Hey, I'm back again. You talked about Course Careers Technology Sales course and what it did to change my life. Wait, there's more. Not only is it technology sales information technology courses as well. Now there's human resources, customer success, UI UX, and did I even mention that there also is software development as well? Front end, back end, and DevOps? Listen, this is something that you definitely want to take advantage of. So go ahead and click that link. Don't forget there's a discount from me if you click that link, and I hope to see you on the other side. Hey, I didn't forget about you. You're a person that needs to be in a place where you are working close with someone else, a mentor, a friend, someone that could take you to the deeper and more intricate parts about being a sales engineer, but you don't know where to go. Learnful is a program that allows you to work with people that are high ranking sales engineers, solution architects, solutions advisors, and they're able to not only mentor you, but teach you the ways to become a sales engineer that can be impactful for you. If you think that Learnful is for you, go ahead and click on the link below for more information. You can use my promo code Joseph150 to be able to save. Go ahead and click the link below. And now back to our show. All right, we're back. We're back on link YouTube exclusively. For those that are on LinkedIn, you know where to come to. We talked about it already. So go ahead and jump to the Q&A section of this conversation because we are about to dive in, as the artist says, but specifically in regards to tech sales and the questions that we have here. So I'm going to go back here because we also do have a question from, well, not really a question, but it was a comment from Jonathan early on regarding the interview process. He said, I had a first round interview with IBM recently for tech sales. How many job applications were you doing a week?
Yeah. So honestly, I know a lot of people are, they're like, you need to do like 10 a day. I was probably doing maybe 10, maybe less than 10 a day. So it was like 5 to 10 a day. The reason why is because I just don't think the whole like mass applying thing, I don't think that, I mean, I guess it's different for everybody. I feel like there should be a little bit more strategy when it comes to applying if you're trying to land a role. But yeah, I mean, if what works for you, if you like mass applying, then yeah, maybe 10 applications a day should maybe work for you. But I was probably doing less than 10 applications a day just because I didn't want to work for every company that was out there. There's just like some companies I saw, like, yeah, they're hiring, but I don't think I actually want to work for them. So, you have to kind of see what works for you as far as your strategy is concerned and what is important to you when it comes to landing your first role.
Yeah, and I want to add to that as well. When I first started, I did do 10 particular jobs like in one day, and it was like one after another where I applied that very day, and I didn't feel good about it. In fact, as soon as I sent out one rejection letter, came back like right away. I'm like, who watched this? Who actually looked at my actual resume to respond so quickly? But by the third or fourth company, I said, you know what? I'm going to go back and I'm going to do the job to get the job.
Yeah.
Course Careers talks about that very well. And so I did that with this one particular company, and I'll tell you exactly what I did, y'all. So I just lay it out there. But I basically I went to the company's website. I applied there. I reached out to the associate recruiter at the time, and I reached out to them and I sent them an email. And my email was basically my cover letter. And then I just said, I applied to your website, but I didn't want to leave it to chance. And literally the next day they got back to me. And that's one thing I say to students or people that I talk to right now, either that I mentor or I coach, is like, listen, you got to do the job to get the job in this market. And the best way to do that is you literally have to put these companies in a sales cadence. Now, to find out exactly what a sales cadence is, we're going to have to take some one-on-one time coaching. I am offering that at no cost right now. So if you want to hit me up, go ahead and hit me up for that coaching. It's a complimentary one-time coaching, but I am offering that. So if you want to help with that particular thing, I definitely can help. But I'm going to pass it back to you, Taylor, because I know you wanted to say something just now.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to add on to that, but yeah, I started writing down every company I applied to. So I was write down the company. I will have a checklist. Did I reach out to them? Did I send them an email? Did I find a decision maker there? And I would check that off, and then I'll go to the next company and I would do that again. I would keep doing that. And then also, guys, you can do what I like to call backdoor applying. Find somebody that already works there, right?
Yeah.
Reach out to them, maybe reach out to a few people that work there, see if you can get on a 10-minute call with them and have a little chit chat about the company and why you're interested and what they think about the company. And then at the end of the call, ask, hey, you think you could refer me to the position? They probably likely will say yes, right? Especially if they're getting a referral bonus. And so, yeah, like, that's a good way to land some interviews that, are almost, guaranteed.
Absolutely, absolutely. Very good stuff there. And so I have another question here. Let me just go down the list. I have Cherry Young. She says, "What do you all think about video outreach to a hiring manager? If you recommend it, what is some advice that you have for reaching out by video?"
Yeah. So, I had never done it before just because I never really had to. I've always gotten responses from my emails or got people who wanted to interview with me, and maybe it was just based off my resume. So I haven't felt the need as of yet to like start doing video outreach as a way to stand out, because I just was what I was doing was working well for me. I would say that I don't think it's a bad idea. As far as standing out is concerned. I mean, most recruiters are going to go and look on your LinkedIn anyway. So I know that some people are concerned, like, oh, showing my face and stuff. Like, if you have a LinkedIn, like, they're going to go and look at it anyway. So that doesn't even matter anymore. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a good way to stand out. I think you do have to kind of be maybe mindful. I know some companies can be a little bit weary of clicking links that's outside of in their email. So maybe that may be a concern. I don't know. I haven't tried it yet, but I definitely think that if you're really maybe want to take things to the next level, or you just really like, hey, a particular company you really want to work for, that there's definitely nothing wrong with maybe seeing a video.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree with that. In fact, shameless plug here, but I was able to interview two people that really used that, and it actually was an advantage for them where they did video outreach. And that was first one was Don. Well, first one was actually Lance. But I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go to him second. The first person was Dante, former firefighter who used and leveraged LinkedIn, basically video outreach. And when he did that, what he was able to do was jump from being an SDR coming in to a senior SDR. Now, just so you know, that's additional pay, that's additional exposure and visibility within the company. So that's a big deal. When I became a senior SDR, I had a level of responsibility that I had in just by being a senior SDR in regards to helping others, or in regards to kind of bringing them along. And so he was able to do that. That opportunity was presented to him because he did a video outreach. And almost similar to that story is Lance. And the reason why I wanted to save him for last, even though I interviewed him before I did interview Dante, was Lance actually broke it down to a science. In fact, he talks about it in this video. If you want to check it out, about basically Course Careers graduate that gets hired, and he got hired as an account executive. Now, he was a full cycle account executive, don't get me wrong, which is basically you're doing the job of SDR as well. But they gave him the ability to do both because he did video outreach, and he did it. And he would broke it down to a science, like 45 seconds or less. Have this, have that. And even on his channel, I'm going to plug his channel too. He talks about it even in more detail. So if you want to find out more about that, go ahead and check those two channels out, because that way you'll be able to kind of get an idea of, okay, how do I do a video outreach, first of all. And because of their success, I highly recommend it. But like Tayler said, I didn't really have an opportunity to do it because of my first job. I didn't need it. I got the job, and the second job they reached out to me, so it was a different circumstance for me. But go ahead and definitely look at those two examples.
Yeah.
All right, and Tina just this is a comment. She's like, "This is very insightful throughout this entire interview. Thank you so much, Tina, for rocking with us. We definitely appreciate you for sure." And I got right here, Jonathan Hamilton. He said, "How can I find companies where it may be less competitive to get in?"
Yeah.
Good question.
I would say you can do that. It's best to try to find companies outside of LinkedIn if you can. Kind of looking at, Google searches. It works. I know it's not probably the best resource that people people would want to go, but I mean, you end up pulling up companies that maybe they don't post their jobs on LinkedIn. I definitely ran into companies that they don't post their job on LinkedIn. They don't have a strong LinkedIn presence, so they have these awesome opportunities that nobody knows about. I have recently posted maybe a few months ago a company called Beehive. They actually are a newsletter company. They help people like me and other people who create newsletters to kind of do that in a way that's very simple and very straightforward, and they're easily able to monetize it. And so I think their product is awesome. And then I looked into the careers and turned out they're hiring for remote SDRs and decided to share it with everybody. And they didn't have a LinkedIn presence. So sometimes getting off of LinkedIn and like kind of just searching around of different companies in your city or different companies, in wherever city you're trying to work. Those typically are less competitive for positions. The popular companies where they got like 500 plus applications, like you can go ahead and do it if you want to, but it's a lower chance of you landing that role. I will also say, and I know a lot of people may hate this, be open to hybrid, be open to coming in the office, especially if you want to
Yes.
get your foot in the door, right? I know a lot of people, they want to get into tech and they're like instantly like, nope, I want a remote, I want fully remote, I want this, I want that. And they have like this whole idea of a dream job that they want. But, that can be to your demise if you're not open minded, right? And you're not willing to make some sacrifices and say, hey, you know what? Yeah, I would love to have a remote position one day, but let's be honest, I don't have experience. I'm up against people who have the experience, and it's a lot
Yes.
harder to land that. So I'm open to working hybrid. I'm open to maybe coming to an office and earning my way to that remote role one day, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that sometimes people aren't willing to make sacrifice, and you may shoot yourself in the foot doing that. You may miss out on a really good opportunity because you don't want to come into the office or you don't want to have a hybrid option. So, like my current company is hybrid. I was working fully remote from before I switched to this company, but I'm willing to make the sacrifice because I'm like, this is a very good opportunity for growth for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, that's another thing you have to take into account. Everything worth having, it does require sacrifice, and you have to be honest with yourself and ask yourself, are you willing to do that? Are you willing to make the sacrifice it takes to get to where you want to go?
I love it, Taylor. I love it. And I totally agree. And it's so funny because the same thing is true with me. For those that don't know, I'm actually at a new company now. And before that, I was fully remote. It was very comfortable. I'm not going to lie. But this
Right.
opportunity that presented itself was one that I had to say, oh man, I need to look into this. Because even though they're hybrid, just everything else, I was like, oh yeah, this is a very, very special opportunity. And so like I counted my steps when I started going hybrid, and every day I did not. I was over 18,000 steps just to
Yeah.
get to work, right? Because
Right.
but still it was good for one because my body needed right,
Yeah.
and then secondly it was good because sometimes we got to get too comfortable. We honestly do. I just had a conversation with somebody about this yesterday, and we're gonna talk. I'm gonna bring them on for show, y'all, and that
Yeah.
that conversation is gonna be y'all not ready for that conversation, but it's gonna be a lot of fun. But like we talked about it yesterday, like some people are very comfortable. They think tech sales or just the tech industry is supposed to be this cushy thing. It's easy. It's a
Yeah.
profession, right?
Yeah.
And even though it's not easy, it's very rewarding, right? We both worked in customer care back in the day, or
Yeah.
in a customer kind of service role. And even though it's tough and it's not as rewarding, and so that that's something that we need to kind of talk about, y'all. Like,
Yeah.
don't just get into the tech industry because you're trying to get a cushy job. It's a
Oh yeah.
profession.
You're gonna have the shock of your life if you think that's the case. And I'm gonna be
Come on
honest with
now.
you. I love that you just touched on that, because a lot of people do come in with the wrong perception.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm about to kick my feet up, work remote, and do whatever I want. And it's just like, don't have that mindset,
No.
especially for our people, our black people. We don't want to create a bad rep for ourselves at these companies.
Yeah.
We want them to, people are naturally biased, right? A lot of companies, and when I say this, I mean, typically the companies they're going to lean more towards maybe the white male who has a college degree, right? Because that's who they are used to seeing in this role, right? It doesn't mean they're
Yeah.
racist, doesn't mean they're bad people. They're just, that's a natural bias, right? And so, when you start to see more black people, and they see these black people coming in, and they're like, hey man, they're just as good as the other people that we hire, right? Or
Yeah.
even better. right? You kind of open that door for more of us, for that bias, to break that bias, right? And
Yeah.
so, I say don't come in with that mindset,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to tell you something. As a Black person, it's very easy to stand out in this, because you have, like what he said, you have a
Yeah.
lot of other people, right? And I'm not going to say white people, because there are other races in this industry as well, but they're used to this type of stuff, and they
Yeah.
are very comfortable. They're not willing to make the sacrifices. They're not willing to, do anything to stand out anymore. And so, this could be a good
Mm.
opportunity for you, right, to come in and really put in the work and make the sacrifice, right? Don't make excuses for yourself, right? Don't come
Yeah.
in being lazy. Don't come in with the mindset, it ain't my job, I'm not getting paid to do that. Leave all that
Yeah.
stuff at the door, right?
Yeah.
Come in with a new mindset. Come in with the mindset, hey, I'm here to add value to the company, and yeah, show up and do the work, right? Like, be accountable for yourself. Tech sales is very entrepreneurial based. Nobody's holding your hand. Nobody's
Yeah.
making sure you make quota. If you're chilling eating Cheetos all day, you're going to be getting on a pip and you're going to be getting fired, right? So
Real quick.
do your job, right? Come in and put in the work.
Yeah. And I ooh, we can talk about this. We can talk about this right here because I mean, I would say this real quickly. They will get back to the get back to the comments, but like I think that a good mindset to have is that whatever is presented to you, and this is something I kind of had to adopt a little bit later, not later, but in my mindset is the quota they give you is not the quota that you should have in your mind. If
No.
they give you five, it should be seven, it should be eight. If they give you 40 calls a day, 45, 50. And really, because if you think that way,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
going to allow your new standard is going to make everybody else be like, whoa, what is he doing? But in
Mhm.
your mind, that is that there is no other quota but 7 and 8, even though on paper it's 5. There is no other quota but 45 or 50 calls, even though it's 40. Doing that is going to help you stand out, like Taylor said,
Yeah.
and really be able to represent not only yourself but a people well in this spirit. Oh man, we gotta talk about this later,
Yeah,
Taylor, because this is
yeah. No, you made a good point, man. Like, I'm at my new company now. I only
yeah,
been there a few months, and I'm already kind of working my way up to that top performer role. Why? Because I come in there, and my first week I busting out 100 calls. They're like, man, whoa, we can't get
love
nobody
it.
to do that on a team. Nobody will bust out even 50 calls, and she's out here busting out 80, 100 calls like it's nothing. And that's what you have to come in with. Come in there and be about your business, right? Forget what
Mm,
other people think. Forget all that. Oh no, we don't want to work too hard. And no. Put in the work, right? Don't ruin your reputation for anybody. Don't let anybody else lack of character or bad decision making cause you to change your character, right? My
mm,
company, I don't even do it for the recognition. I don't care about the recognition. This is who I am. I'm going to come
yes.
up and be me and do what I got to do. Now, if you decide that you don't want to appreciate my value, that's fine. I have a good reputation. I can go wherever I want to go. Right. And so,
Woo.
you come in, show up, do the work, and don't let your character change or your mindset change based off what other people do, because if you do that, I'm telling you, you're going to stand out and people are going to be talking, and they may not want to give you your props, but one thing, they're going to respect you, because they're like, you can say whatever
Yeah.
you want, but you can't say this girl is lazy. You can't say this girl don't show up and do her job, because she does it and she goes above and beyond.
Woo. Talk that talk. Talk that talk. Where's my brother Trey at? Talk that talk in the morning, right? Talk that talk. It's the truth. It's the absolute truth. And I definitely want to keep going, man. We might have to do a part two, because this is a conversation that we definitely have. I got to respect the comment section right now, because it is blazing hip hop and R&B in this comment section. Thank you, Taylor, for all the transparency and knowledge you are dropping. This is amazing conversation packed with precious information. Scott says, Operation Takeover. He says,
Yeah.
and then Tina says, maybe I miss it due to driving. However, did you attend any coaching sessions through the 6-week process to build your interview skills? Good question.
Yeah, I think I did one coaching session with Antoine, and if you guys don't know who Antoine is, he's
Black Heights.
in charge of Black Heights. And we honestly, we didn't even talk about like the interview like that. I just told Antoine, like, man, this is what I'm trying to do, and Antoine was like, go after it. Like, I kind of am I'm kind of a self-aware person, right? Like, I assess like myself all the time. Like I'll be like I know when I messed up, right? I know when I messed up, right?
Mm,
One of the things that like I do now, like in my current role, is I go back and if I think a call was bad, I go back and I listen to that call. Like, what did I say? What could I have did better? You know what I mean? And so a lot of times you know where you messed up at. You just have to be somebody who has introspection, right? And you have to be able to look within and say, okay, honestly, I could have did better. But
yeah,
I definitely encourage to get mentors. I definitely encourage to get coaching, because honestly, I mean, it could have been something that I should have, invested a little bit more in, and maybe there would have been less. Maybe I would have got that interview with Splunk and went all the way, right? If I would have got some coaching done first. So, I did do one session with Antoine, and I definitely encourage, to take advantage if you're like doing course careers, take advantage of those coaches that they have on there, and
yeah,
really, take advantage of Techniche, get on his schedule. All right,
yeah.
get on the schedule and get that guidance that you need, so you don't be like me and like fumble a 100K bag, on your first interview because you don't know what you're doing.
Wow. Well, thank you for the plug. I appreciate that. But no, you're absolutely right. Like coaching is essential. Like first thing I did when I got my company, I found out an AE. Shout out to you, Elijah. I got to respond to your text. I saw it yesterday. I apologize. I was driving. I got to get a chance to respond to you, but great. He's a friend now, right? And I found the AE. He poured into me. I found different resources to coach me up, even prior to the interview. But even when I got into the job, I didn't settle there. I'm like, okay, who can I find? Because you need to keep sharpening your skills. I'm gonna say it. My friend Justin Wharton said it from Tech Journey. This is a profession, right? This is a profession, and if we don't treat it as such, we will be left behind. If you're not sharpening your skills, if you're not doing everything that you can to get better, we will be left behind. I'm gonna say that and I'm move on. Okay, because this is a good conversation. But I gotta respect the comment section because it's crazy up in here. It's a good thing. I'm gonna go real quickly because Tech Coach Ralph says most people mass apply with terrible resumes, and he's a resume reader, so he knows about this. 100%. I definitely agree with Taylor. Strategic applying is a way. Mass applying is stressful and hard to keep up with. Yes, it is. It is. Nice strategy. Thank you so much for that as well for support. Tina also says, I think LinkedIn InMail is a truly powerful key to getting into tech. And we could talk about the power of LinkedIn as well. But it's really about personalization. If you're going to send an InMail, make sure that joint is personalized. Do your research on who you're talking to. If they're in Boston and you know that they're a Boston Celtics fan, say, man, you guys are doing great, number one in the field. Look at their college. Like, where do they go to college? If their college is a big football college program there, or whatever sports program, you can connect it to that. If you see a post, you can bring that in. And I encourage y'all not to go for the ask immediately, but do a question. It says, hey, I saw that, you know, you went to this place. How did you enjoy my time? I always wanted to go to that alma mater, right?
Yeah.
This is free game. Actually, I'm gonna stop. I'm saving for coaching. Save for coaching. Okay, awesome. I'll take a look at those interviews. I appreciate that. Thank you for looking at the interviews. I want to go to the questions. I think somebody had a question. If you have a question, go ahead and put it in the chat. I don't want to miss it, so that's why I'm kind of making sure I'm hitting these one by one. But this is more of a statement from Tech Coach Ralph. He says, when job searching, you'll see remote positions has 500 plus applicants versus a hybrid on/on-site has less than 100.
Yeah.
Look at that's a really good call out. Um, that's a really good call out there. Yeah, social media gives a bad impression of what remote work is really like.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I like remote work because sometimes I could do certain things, like I could do a load of laundry, or I
Yeah.
could do a couple of things within the house, which is great. However, if you're not careful, you could definitely when it comes to time management, you could lose your step, you know.
Absolutely.
Versus
Yeah. It's all about
yeah,
self-discipline. You got to have some self-discipline. You
yeah,
got to have your day scheduled out, you just don't, uh getting up in the you're supposed to make calls, you getting up and thinking yourself something to eat, like, okay, you keep doing that, right? You're going to be You're going to see that, especially in your tech sales. This is going to show on your check, but you ain't getting no commission because you ain't been keeping up with your calls and your outreach and stuff like that. So definitely
Yeah.
time management and self-discipline is key if you're going to be successful in the remote life.
Well, you brought up commissions. I don't know if you want to shed some light on that.
Yeah.
And the reason why just to be very transparent with y'all, the reason why I haven't really talked about commissions much is because my last position wasn't really a commissions based tech sales role. It was a high salary, like it was good, but it wasn't commission based, which probably could mean I, go above and beyond that. Can you talk about what it was like to get your first commissions check and what you learned about the importance of hitting or actually surpassing your quota and your KPIs?
Yeah. Yeah. So for my first commission check wasn't much because obviously, I mean, I knew I didn't know what I was doing. So, I didn't really get, the first couple months, you don't make a lot in commission until you really start getting into the groove of things and stuff like that. But yeah, like, definitely, want to make sure that you have a company with a good commission structure, just because, you know though the base pay, is nice, it's guaranteed pay, but I mean, most base pay, you can't really live off of that. Like, you can't really live off of
Yeah,
65,000 base pay. Like, that's kind of like, yeah, it's nice, but commission is where the real money is at. That's where you're really making your money. And so,
yeah,
yeah, like, my first commission check wasn't that much, maybe a few $100s, right? But I mean, once you build your skill and you start getting into the groove of things, you get your ramp done and you kind of know the product, your ICP, get in the groove of your talk track on the phone
yeah,
with these people. That's when you start, enabling yourself to really rack up when it comes to commission.
yeah. And the commission structure at this new company that I'm at, I believe by me just doing my job, that commission check should be 2,500 just by just doing my
Yeah,
job.
absolutely.
Um, and so that's what excites me because then we talk about hitting accelerators and we talk about the comp structure on top of that. If that's just you doing your job, right, then
Yeah,
you could anticipate when you go above that 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, even 8, 10. The
yeah,
sky is uncapped. When you see that uncapped commission there and
yeah,
you see that it's kind of the way that it's structured, that it has accelerators in there, that there's incentives, or the company may say, hey, you know what? If we're gonna have a special tournament right now,
yeah,
right? And if you do X, Y, and Z, you're gonna get this bonus. Take advantage of that, y'all, because the money that you can make can supersede a high salary. And I think that's kind of lost too, is because sometimes, like what you said, is so important. If you have a base that's you're barely surviving on that base, right? But the
right.
real money comes in, and that's why it's important to evaluate companies. That goes back to the interview process. When you're evaluating a company, you really want to see what the comp structure is and the quota attainability. What are the SDRs doing at that particular company already? Are they all hitting it? Are they kind of struggling with hitting their quota? That is so important that it should not be skipped. Every interview that you have, at least initial one, you
Yeah,
should definitely ask the question: how are the SDRs at this company hitting quota?
yeah,
This last interview I had, not only did they say yes or no, they took out Salesforce in front of me. They said, "Here, look for yourself."
yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, one person missed it by one." Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's so good. And understand too, depending on the size of the company where they're at, there's
Yeah.
can be changes in the comp plan. Like, I'm at a startup, so we're on one comp plan, but they're like, hey, we want to change it to another comp plan because
Yeah.
it's gonna be more lucrative for you guys, right? We want you
Yeah.
guys to even make more money off of the meetings you're booking and also the deals that's getting closed off those meetings you booked. And so, want to make sure you understand where this company is at in their building phase. Are they good, right? Is everything
Yeah.
already SOPs and stuff are all in place? Or are they still trying to work out certain things? Is this a mid-size? This is a large company that where everything is set in stone? Is this a startup company where there's going to be some changes that's going to be made? And so, those are all things to evaluate when you're, interviewing with different companies.
Yeah. 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 I'll go through the comment section real quickly because there's a question here. And I want to make sure I get to it. Like, yeah, we talked about that as well. That's right, Tech Coach Ralph. Taylor is so right. Hot Cheetos. He was talking about hot Cheetos before, and now that made him laugh. It's then Tech Back Trey clapping emojis. We got fire from Sherry. We got Tina with the fire and the 100. And then we have a question here from Chef Shah. She says, how should you respond to a company that requires you to live within 25 miles of the building, even if I said I'm planning to drive in until I find the real estate opportunity? Do you want to take this one? I'm trying to think about it.
Um, you know, I would probably just, I mean, I don't think there's any way around that except for just being straightforward with them. I don't think there's
Hmm.
any way to really kind of work that conversation as say, hey, listen, I'm willing to make the sacrifice because I want to work for your company that much, right? Like, I'm willing to temporarily just come in, right? And drive that mileage to get here, until I find a place that's close out here, right? Maybe even see if there's a way, because some companies are willing to help you relocate.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can negotiate that into your salary. Hey, can we get a relocation bonus or something like that, so I can come and work for you guys, right? Like, so I would maybe try to navigate it that way, to see if there's something you guys can work out so that you can work for their company. I imagine that if you stand out as a candidate, I think this would make you stand out even more, that you were willing to make that sacrifice, and maybe they'll be open to having that conversation with you.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that, Taylor. I think that it comes down to you don't get what you ask, what you deserve, right? You get what you negotiate.
Yeah.
And sometimes if you're in a position where they're presenting the offer letter to you, they really want you, and but there's a hardship there. In confidence and in transparency, you say, I would really love to work here, but I need a little bit of a give and take here, right? And so maybe you don't come in 3 days a week. Maybe you come in 2 days a week or one day a week. Maybe it's something that, like Taylor mentioned, maybe if you're open to relocating a little bit closer, they could have relocation. They could work in that relocation for you. Um, you know, there are different ways to go about it, but it's really about getting to that point where they have that offer letter in hand, and then you could say, looking over the terms, I would like to negotiate X, Y, and Z, whatever the case may be. Now, you're not going to ask for the Taj Mahal and all the different things, but within reason. But you can negotiate certain things, whether that's pay, whether that's equity in the company, or even when it comes to things like this, because if they see you valuable as a valuable, potential worker for them, somebody that's going to get the job done, then there actually is some give and go with these companies, believe it or not.
Absolutely.
Give and take, I should say. All right, y'all. So listen, I don't see any more comments and this is the funny part. When I say this, then the comments start coming, the questions start coming in. But I don't see any more questions right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just thank Taylor for her time with us. It's been fantastic. Typically we have this like in an hour or so, but we're over that, and I
Yeah.
love it. Um, Taylor, any last words that you want to share with the audience before we go?
Yeah, I mean, for those looking to get in tech, the only thing I have to say to you is put in the work, put in the work, put in the work. Don't make excuses for yourself. Don't complain about the process. I see a lot of people get on LinkedIn. Oh my goodness, I'm tired of these companies. Da, 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 da. Don't do that. That doesn't help your situation in whatsoever. Don't complain. Put in the work. Do what needs to be done. You will be rewarded. Okay, believe in that. Believe in the process. You will be rewarded. Okay, for your hard work and your effort.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that again. Tech sales is not easy. The tech industry in a whole is not easy. However, it is rewarding to
Yeah.
those that put in the work. Thank you so much,
Yes.
Taylor, for that. And the audience definitely appreciates it. Tech Coach Ralph says, thanks so much, Taylor, for your time, subbing to your channel. We have Odie as well, says, thanks for all the great info. And so this has really been really good. But thank you all for tuning in with us. Go ahead if you want to go and lock in with Taylor. It's in the description below on YouTube. Their YouTube channel is there as well as her LinkedIn. So go ahead and connect with her. If you have questions for her, I'm not too sure if she's coaching right now or she has a bandwidth for that, but
I don't have the bandwidth to do one-on-ones right now, but I'm trying to step up on the content so I can get some more valuable information for you guys.
no, absolutely. Tech Job Tina, she says thank you as well. And we have Operation Tech Takeover says awesome interview as always. So thank you so much for rocking with me. And speaking about rocking with me, if you're new to the channel and you really found value in this, I looked it over. It's going to be a year next month, and I have 209 videos in there for you to look at. There's a lot of stuff for you to go through. So you might find some gems in there. And in fact, you not might, you will find gems in there. So go ahead and check the previous interviews out. Like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And again, that is Techniche Tips. I'll put it up right here in case you haven't seen it before, but Techniche Tips, all these different sort of great people that have been on here, from UI, UX, to digital marketing, to Astrid, who talks about becoming an account executive with IBM. Somebody who is from IBM, who was actually got an opportunity with IBM, was here as well. You know, we have a lot of people there. So definitely like, comment, and subscribe. I always encourage people to check out what was previously there because there's a lot of good info on the channel. Oh, we got somebody in the building, Ty Smith, who is also a guest on the show. He is in the building. Great job, everyone. Appreciate you always for connecting. And if you want to check out the episode that I had with Ty, it was a great one. In fact, because I'm, shameless plug again. I have it actually right here where he was talking about channel sales. And so you definitely want to look into channel sales if you're an entrepreneur mind. Channel sales is simply where you could be your own business person, and you could basically have these contracts with these businesses, providing telco services, providing cybersecurity, all these different things, and receive residual payments for the existence of the period that business being in contract with that service provider. So there's so many different things on there. Go ahead and check it out. Thank you so much for stopping by, Ty. And go ahead and check out Black Tech Global. We'll talk about that later on Monday. So on Monday, the episode with me and Trey, we're going to talk about Black Tech Global, and we're going to talk about the great things that are happening there through Ty Smith. But enough of that. Thank you so much, Taylor. I had you long enough. I appreciate you. And until next time, go ahead. Sorry.
No, good. You're good.
All right. Well, until next time, family, I hope to see you on the other side. Take care, y'all.